Under the burning twin suns of Viridia, a tiny blue-skinned girl stands barefoot on the roadside, abandoned by the only family she had left. Her tears hit the dust like falling stars, until the growl of an old human engine breaks the silence. That moment, one man's choice to stop will ignite a rebellion that shakes two worlds. The twin suns of Viridia burned overhead, one gold, one pale white, baking the endless red dust into cracked glass. A small figure stood at the edge of the road, a girl no taller than the hood of a hover truck. Her skin shimmered blue in the light, the color of ocean water no one on this planet had ever seen. Her name was Aria, 8 years old, half human, half something else, entirely alone. The hovercar that had dropped her off was already a silver dot fading into the horizon. Inside it sat her stepmother, Leeson, a woman with polished skin and polished lies. She hadn't even slowed down when she said, "Your father's gone. You're a burden, not a legacy." Then the door hissed open, and Aria was pushed out with a single trembling hand. Now the road hummed with silence. The dust clung to Aria's bare feet like ash. She hugged her stuffed toy, an old robot named Tuk Tuk, missing one arm and most of his smile. "It's okay," she whispered. "Dad said people who get lost just haven't been found yet." Her voice cracked, and the desert swallowed the sound whole. A gust of wind lifted her hair, scattering it like blue silk. Far away, something rumbled. Not the wind, not thunder. A deep mechanical growl, the kind that carried oil and purpose. Aria froze. From behind the dunes, an old mining hauler appeared, coughing smoke and light. The driver was human, rough-skinned, dust-covered, wearing a patched vest that had seen more years than he probably wanted to admit. His name, she would later learn, was Eli Cross. Eli slowed the hauler, eyes narrowing at the sight of a child standing alone under two suns. "You lost, kid," he called out, voice carrying the grit of exhaustion and something softer beneath it. Aria didn't answer. She'd been warned about humans, dangerous, unpredictable, cruel. But when he stepped down from the vehicle, she saw the lines on his face, the kind carved by grief, not anger. Eli looked at her bare feet, then at the road stretching endlessly behind her. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Well," he muttered, "guess the universe just volunteered me for babysitting duty." And with that one tired sentence, two broken lives began to orbit the same fate. The drive back to Eli's outpost took nearly an hour. The desert stretched in every direction, a wasteland of rusted metal and buried bones from half-built machines. Aria sat quietly in the passenger seat, holding Tuk Tuk on her lap as if he might run away if she loosened her grip. Eli glanced at her now and then, not sure what to say. He wasn't good with silence, but every word he thought of felt too big for the cab. So instead, he offered a half-empty bottle of water. She stared at it, hesitant. "It's clean," he said. "Well, mostly." Aria took a small sip, then another, eyes flicking toward him with the cautious trust of someone who'd learned not to expect kindness. When they reached the settlement, Eli parked beside a half-collapsed shack, patched together from ship metal and hope. "Home, sweet temporary home," he muttered, kicking the door open. Inside smelled of oil, dust, and old memories. He pointed to a cot in the corner. "You can rest there." "I'll find food." Aria blinked at the cluttered room, metal tools, dented helmets, a cracked photo frame showing a woman and a little girl. Eli caught her staring and quickly turned it face down. "They're gone," he said quietly, then forced a small smile. "But you're not." "That's something." He heated a can of synth stew, the kind miners lived on when paychecks ran dry. Aria sniffed it suspiciously. "Is this food?" "Technically," Eli said. Her giggle caught him off guard, a tiny, bright sound that made the shack feel less empty. Later, when she drifted toward sleep, she whispered, "My dad said humans were loud and mean." Eli chuckled softly. "Your dad wasn't wrong. But some of us try to balance the noise with doing the right thing." She looked at him through half-closed eyes. "You sound like him." That hit deeper than he expected. He stared at the flickering lantern, wondering when kindness had started to feel like rebellion. Outside, the wind howled across the desert. Inside, for the first time in years, Eli Cross felt something close to peace, fragile, warm, and terrifying. The next morning, the sound of engines shattered the quiet. Eli stepped outside and froze. 2 silver patrol drones were sweeping low across the dunes. He cursed under his breath and grabbed his jacket. "We've got company," he muttered. Inside, Arya hugged Tuk-Tuk tight. "Are they bad men?" "Bad enough," he said, lowering his voice. "They'll take you to a place that looks clean but smells like cages." Eli thought fast. He couldn't outfight a government, but he knew someone who could outthink one. "Stay close," he told her, tossing a hooded cloak over her head. Together they slipped into his old hover truck and cut toward the smoke-choked Undercity, the only place on Viridia where laws went to die. They found Kalen, an old contact from Eli's mining days, sitting in a corner stall that sold information and questionable tea. The alien had 4 arms, too many teeth, and a grin that could light a room or rob it blind. "Eli Cross," Kalen said, laughing. "I figured you'd end up in a scandal. What's the prize this time?" Eli tilted his head toward the small, cloaked figure. "A kid, half human, left to die." Kalen's smile faded. "You know harboring one means you're done here, right? No more mining license. No protection. Then maybe I need a new kind of protection." Kalen sighed. "You always find the wrong kind of trouble." After a long pause, he nodded. "I know someone, diplomat, the kind who believes rules are suggestions. That's how they met Lysara Venn, a tall, lavender-skinned official whose office looked too clean for the things she clearly dealt with. She studied Arya with an expression caught between concern and disbelief. "You brought me a hybrid child. In broad daylight?" "I ran out of subtle options," Eli replied. When Lysara scanned Arya's ID chip, her expression shifted from irritation to alarm. Hidden beneath the standard registry was an encrypted message, a set of coordinates, safety reports, and a final line of text. "If I die, tell them the mines were never accidents." Eli exhaled slowly. "Her father." Lysara looked up, eyes hardening. "Then your little rescue just turned into a revolution." By the next sunrise, Eli's face was plastered across every holoscreen in Viridia. "Human miner kidnaps alien child," the report said. "Lies travel faster than light." Truth apparently needed a ride. Lysara's office became a war room. Holograms flickered, data streamed, and every message carried the same threat: surrender the girl or be prosecuted under Code 48C. Eli paced the floor, fists clenched. "They're calling me a criminal for saving her." "They're calling you a criminal because you embarrassed them," Lysara replied, calm but fierce. "And because you might expose what her father discovered." Before they could plan their next move, security drones swarmed the building. Lysara grabbed Arya's hand. "Run!" The words snapped like a whip. They were caught by nightfall. Now, in the cold glow of the great tribunal, 3 alien judges sat above them like carved statues. The room was silent, except for Arya's uneven breathing. Councillor Drain, the polished face of the mining syndicate, stood at the prosecution table. "A human miner," he sneered, "claiming to be a hero. How predictable." He produced holographic footage showing Eli leading Arya away from a hovercar. It looked damning. "That's fake," Eli said sharply. "Prove it," Drain replied. Lysara rose slowly. "Gladly." She touched her datapad, projecting the hidden message from Arya's implant for all to see. The chamber filled with the recorded voice of a man, rough, tired, and painfully real. "If you're hearing this, it means they killed me. The mines are collapsing because they made them collapse. They needed the insurance credits. My daughter carries proof in her code." Gasps rippled through the room. Drain paled but quickly recovered. "Manufactured evidence," he said, waving a hand. "A child's story and a human's desperation. Hardly credible." Lysara stepped closer to him, voice low and steady. "Then why did your name appear in the payment logs of the same site 2 hours before the explosion?" For the first time, Drain didn't answer. Arya stood, clutching Tuk-Tuk. Her voice was soft but unshakable. "My dad said truth burns lies like fire." The silence that followed was complete, and then, slowly, People began to rise. Even one of the judges stood. "This tribunal declares an immediate investigation," she said. Eli looked at Arya. "You just lit the match, kid." A year later, the desert looked different. The air still shimmered under twin suns, but the silence no longer felt like loss. It felt like peace. Eli's old shack had grown into something new, a sturdy home with clean walls, bright panels, and laughter echoing through the dust. The world outside hadn't become perfect, but it had become possible. Inside, Arya sat cross-legged on the floor, tinkering with a small robot. Its single glowing eye blinked unevenly. "Don't die on me, Tuk-Tuk 2.0, she muttered. "You've got a reputation to live up to." Eli leaned in the doorway, smiling. "You know, I used to fix things for a living." She looked up with mock seriousness. "Yeah, and now you just break rules for one." He laughed, the kind of laugh he hadn't known he still had. She'd grown taller, bolder, and quicker with her jokes. Somewhere between escape and survival, she had found herself again. Outside, a familiar hovercar arrived, sleek and official. Lysara Venn stepped out, still wearing that same unshakable calm that once terrified councilmen. She handed Eli a data slate. The Guardianship Council approved the permanent adoption. "You're officially her father now." Eli took the slate, words catching in his throat. Arya grinned. "Told you they'd say yes. Guess I owe you 10 credits, he said. She gasped. "You bet against me?" "Only a little," Lysara chuckled softly. "You two are chaos in human form." Eli raised an eyebrow. "You're part of the chaos now, remember?" Her expression softened. Happily. Later that evening, the three of them stood outside watching the suns dip below the horizon. Arya pointed upward. "Do you think Dad can see us?" Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "If he can, he's probably proud and wondering how his kid managed to fix an entire planet before bedtime." Lysara smiled, resting her hand over his. "One girl, one man, one truth. Sometimes that's all it takes." As the first stars appeared, Arya leaned against them both. The desert wind carried the faint hum of distant engines. No longer a threat, but a promise. For the first time in Viridia's long, divided history, tomorrow actually belonged to everyone.